PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Well, this is the third of the three-part series of work ethic. So let me say one thing real quick. If you're in the sales industry, if you're there selling something, a product, or selling yourself, there's 300 million people living in the United States. The more people that know who you are and what you do and the level of your expertise, the more money you're going to make. People spend millions and millions of dollars on advertising to advertise their product or their service because they want more and more people to know who they are. I don't think that that's a big issue anymore, especially on a one-on-one basis, because the internet and social media right now doesn't cost you anything. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of views of a cat falling off a couch. I mean, that may be entertainment to some people. It's really not to me. But I guess I've seen, obviously I know about it, I've seen the cat falling off the couch. So I believe that you can generate traffic, or at least understanding of who you are and what you do and your expertise level on the internet at absolutely no charge. 300 million people, the more people that know you, the more money you're going to make. So this whole series is all been about work ethic. And I told you this is the most structured time of the year in video number 1. And what I mean by is if you celebrate the holidays, then there is a place you need to be on the holidays, and you need to be on time. If you're not on time, and a lot of people aren't, then people talk about you all year long and they tell you that you caused everybody to have a bad day. So be on time. You have to buy a present for somebody if you do and exchange presents. You have to think about who they are, what they have, what they need. Most people get irritated by having to shop for somebody and buy them a present, but you have to have it, and you have to have it on a certain time at a certain event, and they get to open the present. These are all very structured things. I think the majority of people that live in America live a pretty unstructured life. I mean, you just got to be to work and you get there on time, or you don't get there on time. Your weekends are on your own. But this time of year, as we get into the last 2 weeks, there's a lot of structure. Got to go to a certain party, got to show up, got to do this, got to close the year out. If you're an accountant, you got to get ready for tax season. I mean, it's very structured. So that being said, we can be structured. And so there's a couple of things I want to finish up with. I've tried to give a little hints, like working with a body shop, working with a record driver, looking through service records and everything. But let's talk about just overall efficiency. In the world right now, we're going through some situations. There are not many products out there right now. So if you're selling a product or a service, I got to be honest with you. If you have it available, they're going to buy it. I've never seen anything like this before because of the lack of services and the lack of products right now. Is if you're willing to offer it and you have it, it is sold. So there's not a lot of selling going on. It's if you have it in stock, it is sold. That's from grocery stores all the way down up, all the way up to cars and jewelry or whatever, because there's a lack of product out there. So that means that we have more time to focus on long-term building of our businesses. So here's what I would tell you if you're looking at overall business. When you sell somebody something, you've sold a product or you've sold yourself, or both. If you go to a party or a gathering where you meet people you've never met before, do me a favor and ask a couple of people these questions. Number one, ask them what kind of vehicle they drive. Hopefully they'll be able to answer that question. They usually can. Next question is, ask them the first and last name of the salesperson that sold them that vehicle. Now, the majority of people, if they didn't buy that in the last couple of days, will not be, they'll say Scott, Sam, Bill, or Sherry, or Deontay. I don't know last name. I don't. Some of them can't even tell you where they bought their car. Last question I would ask is, how many times have you bought a second vehicle from the same salesperson? Now, that answer is probably going to be 0 every time you ask. How is that possible? How is it possible that you worked so hard to gain the business trust of somebody, you found the right product, you found the right price, and then they never come back to you? So here's what I'm going to do. A little bit of math, because math is not emotional. You don't have to agree with me on anything else, but math is pretty much straight down the middle. Math is absolute. So if you sell 20 cars a month times 5 years, so 20 times 12 times 5 is 1,200. That means you've delivered 1,200 vehicles. 2 questions to ask is, did they enjoy the vehicle you sold them? I mean, if you sold them a vehicle that met their needs, that should be a yes. Second question is, how many of them enjoyed your professionalism? I hope it's 100%. So how does that person not automatically come back to you the next time? We spend a lot of time trying to drive new traffic into a business and very little time trying to maintain the business that we had. I'll give you a hint. Most people trade in a 5-year cycle. So if you have 1,200 customers, don't work all 1,200 at one time. Trade within their trade cycle. So that's about 20% a year. So 20% of 1,200 is going to be 240. If you divide 240 by the number of months in a year, which is 12, that's 20. So 5 years of selling, now you start creating a 20 car a month sales repertoire with the same people you've already sold before. But that's not going to be the case. Negative people will go, well, some people move away. You can deliver a car anywhere, but whatever. But the positive people say, well, most people don't like living alone. They've got a partner, a spouse, a significant other, a roommate. So I'm selling a lady a Highlander, Toyota Highlander, fantastic vehicle. She is going to enjoy that. I know that for a fact. Husband sitting right there, and I said, when you get another vehicle, when you're ready, are you going to do the same vehicle or are you going to change? Well, you know, Casey, I'm working out of home right now. I do a lot more stuff around the home. I'm going to get a little truck, maybe a Tacoma or something. So that's an agreement to buy a product, find out when. They say probably spring of 2023. So in my computer at the dealership, CRM, my phone, whatever, I drop in a little tab that says to contact this customer 6 months out from the date they told me they're going to buy. And then I let them know I'm already on the job for you. So now the 1,200, because of spouse, significant other, partner, or roommate, becomes 2,400. You see where my math is going? Most people, if they live together long enough, they'd like to have kids and enjoy the life of a child, 2.4 kids per household. So I don't know, 0.4, we got to edge that down because I don't know how you chop a kid up. So we got 2 kids per household. One of the biggest joys in my life is selling a kid their car for their 16th birthday. Do all your clients call you up and go, hey, I'm looking for a car for my kid. Could you find it for me? In fact, some people have sold cars for multiple decades and never had anybody do that. What you need to do is call dad up and go, hey, one of your kids is turning 16 3 months from now. You want to get started on finding them a car? Which one? Dads don't even know how old their kids are. So you initiated that, and now you're looking for a car, and you're going to find the car, and you're going to get to deliver that car at the birthday party, which is a joy. I've already talked about that multiple times. That is a joy, but you have to initiate that. So now you get the man, the woman, or the partners, or the roommates, and their 2 kids. That's 4,800. So I went from 1,200 cars a year, 20 cars a month, to 40 cars a month, to 80 cars a month. Is that possible? Is it? I don't think it's possible to sell 80 cars a month. I think it's possible to deliver 80 cars a month. When somebody calls you up and said, hey, I want a certain car, and you pull it aside and they come in and take delivery and leave, that's easy. That's because you've already done the work up front. So what I would say is take a nucleus of your day. Let's say you work in the car business, man. Let's be honest with you, or the sales industry. Somebody says, I work 50 hours a week in sales. That's not true. That's not true. You get home, somebody goes, how was your day? You talk about your sales day. You don't talk about the weather. Oh, I had this customer, I had this customer. So that's more than 50 hours, right? You go to bed at night worried about the sale you made or the sale you didn't make. That's on the clock too. So now that's it over half a day. You wake up in the middle of the night, nightmare or dreaming about something you're trying to create or sell, and so that you have to count that time. You wake up in the morning thinking about, what am I going to do for that day? So it's 24 hours a day. A sales job is 24 hours a day. Some people don't understand it. Some people go to work and they work an 8-hour shift doing something and they leave and totally forget about it because it's still going to be there when they get there tomorrow, and they don't have to worry about anything when they leave. And a sales job is 24 hours a day. So I want to create a situation where I'm not always looking for new people, that I'm building an empire for myself. If all of my customers come back to me, I'm going to be the highest paid person in my market area. Now, if you look at a second thing, there's 300,000 or 300 million people living in the United States. Again, people spend giant amount of money on advertising. How do I find out about a service or a person or a company? They spend millions of dollars in advertising, so you'll know that. Well, the social media is out there. So let me give you a little hint. Why wouldn't you do a Facebook Live? I don't care what you sell. I mean, I'm teaching people to sell cars. So why wouldn't you show up on a Saturday morning, and at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning, you do a little Facebook Live of the vehicles you have in inventory, new or pre-owned. You team up with a couple other people, and I always do Sally and Deontay. So I go, hey, Sally, what do you got? I said, Casey, I got a 2019 Lunar Rock 4Runner with less than 20,000 miles. How do we even have this here? It's not going to make it till noon. You guys come down. Now, I'm putting that on Facebook Live. Then Deontay rolls up in a TRD Tacoma and said, we just got this in. Today's the first day. It's going to go today. Then I roll up in a Jeep that's got $5,000 worth of accessorization on there. And we talk about it every week. Now, you know, the first week that you do this, the very first week you do this, there's only going to be 2 or 3 people watching. It's going to be your family, maybe a friend. You do it in a year, they pass it around, and all of a sudden people are plugging into your little show because it's a little show. It's all about cars you have, and it's a lot of fun. You do it every single weekend. You always post it out there, and people become followers of that. So if 10,000 follow it and they give it to one person, that's 20, that's 40. You see what I'm saying? So the only way you can do that, what if you started that a year ago? What if you've been doing it for a whole year? Now the people in your market area, let's say in your little target market area, there's 50,000 people that live in your market area. How many people would know who you are? The more people that know who you are and what you do, the more money you're going to make. That's the end of the story in sales. We are so concerned about selling somebody that has never been to our building, our business before, ever, new traffic to the store, that we completely avoid old traffic. I talked about service customers. Now listen, I know this customer's not going to trade. They trade every 3 years. How do I know that? I've looked at their trade cycle and they trade cars every 3 years, which makes me believe they're probably going to trade a car in 3 years. If I'm a person that doesn't follow up, I'm not good at that, which is most people. I go back to my service department and I look up their name a year out. So 2 years into their ownership, I look at their name and I see they don't come to my service department anymore. I need to reconnect with that. Or I find out they've got another service appointment coming up in 3 months and I meet them back in service again. I can track that by my service roster back in the back, and I don't have to follow up or send birthday cards. I just track my customers because I know their trade cycle. That is a lot of work. You could take your first part of your day and you can crunch for 2 hours and work all of your work process in that 2 hours, and the rest of the day you can work on the traffic that comes into your business. If you are structured and you have a great work ethic, then your business will continue to grow until you are the market leader in your industry. When you become the market leader, either you're making more money than anybody else, or opportunities for growth into management and ownership are right there because you have created a dynasty and people pay attention to that. This has been PK52, the Saturday Morning Meeting.